Students, protests, and the fight for free education were thrust back into the spotlight in recent weeks. But peaceful demonstrations at the University of the Witwatersrand took a tragic turn when a passerby, 35-year-old Mthokozisi Ntumba, lost his life. Join us as News24 takes a look back on the events which sparked the latest wave of free protests as they unfolded. On Wednesday, the 3rd of March, members of the WITS SRC met with the university's senior executive team. They demanded that all students who were granted admission for the 2021 academic year be allowed to register. After this meeting, registration at the university was extended. The following day, the SRC announced a protest would take place on the university's main campus in Braamfontein under the hashtag #WitsAsNamali. Student leadership called the university to emulate the University of the Western Cape's example. UWC, in a letter to students, acknowledged the negative financial impact of COVID-19 on families and the delay in funding from NSFAS. It financially cleared all students to register for 2021. Protests calling on WITS to allow all students, including those with historical debt, to register continued on Friday, the 5th of March. The university issued a statement in response to the SRC's demands, stating that it was experiencing financial strain. Student debt has increased dramatically over the last 5 years due to the effects of fees must fall, the economic downturn, the COVID-19 pandemic, and other factors. In 2020, students owed WITS over R1 billion, which is unsustainable, the statement read. The university added that it administers over R1 billion in student funding, scholarships and bursaries annually, including R100 million from WITS's council budget. On Monday, 8 March, Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande announced that the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, would fund all returning beneficiary students who met the relevant criteria. At the time, it was unclear whether the scheme would be able to fund new first-year students due to budget constraints. Registration at universities was extended by 2 weeks as a result. The following morning, a group of WITS students moved their protest from the campus into the streets. They demonstrated on Empire Road, burning tires and blocking traffic. On the 10th of March, things took a turn for the worse. A strong police contingent was present outside WITS. When the protest spilled over into the Braamfontein precinct, police moved to disperse students who had blocked off the intersection between Jarrison and Bertha streets. They fired stun grenades and rubber bullets, injuring 2 student journalists. Police then moved to Steeman Street. It was at this moment that 35-year-old Mthokozisi Ntumba was shot and killed outside the My Clinic. Students began singing meters away from where Ntumba's body lay. It took at least 3 hours for forensic pathology services to arrive. Students formed a guard of honor as the vehicle left the scene before continuing their march. They headed back to Empire Road once again, barring traffic with burning tires. They staged a sit-down in the Biz Road before police fired shots to disperse the crowd. Police Minister Bheki Cele visited the family of Ntumba on 11 March, while Minister Blade Nzimande announced that NSFAS would reprioritize its budget to fund first-year students following a meeting with the cabinet. Protests in Braamfontein intensified during the remainder of the week, with students delivering their memorandum to various institutions including the Constitutional Court and Luthuli House. Students from the University of Cape Town also took to the streets of the mother city on Friday morning to protest against financial exclusion. On Sunday, 14 March, the South African Union of Students called for the shutdown of higher education institutions in support of students' call for free higher education. It demanded institutions register all students, including those with historical debt. Then, The University of Cape Town joined UWC and financially cleared all students to register for 2021. But the planned shutdown at universities and TVET colleges got off to a quiet start on Monday. A heavy police contingent remained present at both Wits and the University of Johannesburg, where a group of students had gathered in the afternoon. The two universities joined forces, marching from UJ's Bunting campus towards Braamfontein before police intervened, dispersing students with a water cannon. Undeterred, the students continued their protest in the busy Braamfontein precinct. Police again dispersed the crowd, this time using tear gas. 4 police officers were arrested in connection with the death of Ntumba that same afternoon. On March 16, 4 students who were arrested on charges of public violence the previous day appeared at the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. The matter was postponed to 19 March, where 2 students would be released on bail of 1,500 rand. The following morning, the 4 police officers arrested in connection with Ntumba's death appeared briefly before the same court. The matter was postponed to 24 March, pending a formal bail application. The officers remained in custody. That afternoon, students and artists gathered on what they had renamed Ntumba Street to celebrate the life of Mthokozisi, who was buried in KwaZulu-Natal over the weekend. Wits conceded in part to the demands from the SRC to allow all students, including those with historical debt, to register for the 2021 academic year. In a statement, the university said, members of the university's senior executive team met with a delegation from the Students' Representative Council again on Tuesday evening, 17 March. At the meeting, the SET made the commitment to assist all qualifying students on the list of 300 put forward by the SRC. The SRC accepted this concession and protests died down. On Wednesday, 24 March, the 4 officers implicated in Ntumba's death again appeared before the Johannesburg Magistrates Court for a formal bail application. The court heard how Ntumba was shot and killed with a rubber bullet at close range. The officers were granted bail of 8,000 rand each 2 days later. The matter has been postponed to 21 May 2021, pending further investigations.